Digital Customer Experience, Level 6, July 2020. Now, digital customer experience is a topic which cuts across both your diploma as well as your digital diploma. So it's a connecting topic, it cuts across. And over the last couple of years, the whole concept of customer experience, CX, is become a very valid conversation where, with especially digital, the opportunities to create exceptional experiences, personalized experiences for your customers is considered to be a priority, because that's the priority of a customer. It's not just the product, it's the overall experience, and that becomes a differentiator as well as potential to become your competitive advantage. So spending some time on reading the topic of overall customer experience, digital or physical, a work by Colin Shaw, it's an interesting book, and a few more reading will get you on track to thinking of CX from a typical customer satisfaction world to an overall experience. Now, the concept is about building your customer personas and understanding how those personas move along customer journeys, which is specific from one persona to the other, and how each of those touch points in those journeys are relevant and how those touch points create an exceptional customer experience. In the meantime, look at some touch points which are becoming pain points for your customers. Websites that don't work, web pages that crash, call centers that don't answer the phones. Those touch points, you got to start fixing them. And overall, this should result in a great advantage for your company. So that's in summary. It's a big subject, and you would use the right textbooks to get the theoretical knowledge, and that's all available in your Google Classroom at Dafedil. So let's get started. Digital customer experience, 3 tasks to focus on. Select your company, a company you have access to information you're passionate about, and do a detailed analysis of the company, which you will present in 2 pages. So that's already supported in the Google Classroom. Go through the material, how that could be done. It's not complex. But just like any business assignment, understanding the company is an obvious starting point. The next important decision is on your theme. So stage 2, level 6, you have a selection of 4 themes. It's pretty straightforward. The themes are based on the Ansoff growth metrics. So what's your focus? To penetrate the market, in other words, get your current customers to buy more of your products and services, or you want to go looking for new markets, new products, and the exciting space, the risky space of diversifying your business. So you got to justify this theme so that this becomes the direction for your organization, which in turn becomes the direction for your assignment. So this justification gets included in the 2-page company background. Again, the guidance available on the Google Classroom. Okay, let's get to the assignment itself. So, at the start of an assignment, you will generally find the presentation format. In this case, it's pretty straightforward. It's a report. So if you look at your Google class, you can go to the specific subject, go to classwork. Let's hope this loads, and you will find how simplistic and how clean, just like Google, the platform is. Go to your submission guide, and you will find some guidance on writing a report. Now this document you got to read very carefully. It has all what you need to know, how to reference, how to avoid plagiarism collusion, which is generally where you get warnings and disqualifications, word count policy, etc., font sizes, all that is available. Here you go. your report format. It doesn't mean you have to practice all of this. Honestly, we don't do executive summaries because this is a more practical qualification. But some of this would give you a bit of a outline, outlook, how do you want to get about it. Now, in any assignment, you would also have specific command words. For example, you would be told to identify. You would be told to create. So these are specific command words that you got to pay attention to. So those command words are clearly defined. Example, this is your level 6 command word. So if someone tells you to identify, you could scroll down to identify. Critically identify elements of complex marketing problems and issues. So it's not the pure English definition of the word, but what as marketers, business people, we want you to understand is defined here. So please use them carefully, otherwise that will be resulting in loss of marks. Alright, let's get to the business. Task 1, B and C. Identify that means your company's channel goals and recommend the key channel selection criteria to ensure your chosen organization's objective is met. Now in this case, the objective should be linked to your theme. Is it penetration, market development, of course supported by other specific digital objectives. Okay, so for this you got to understand your organization's channel mix, your social media channels, your email channels, your web as a channel, specific pages, your blog, your app as a channel. So you got to use the right theory and slice down the channels, and then you should look at what are those goals related to those channels. So for example, some of you are familiar with the digital concept of RACE, R-A-C-E, reach, act, convert and engage. And those alone would be overriding goals for those channels. So if you evaluate that, you might want to see which channels are supposed to reach, which channels are supposed to convert. For example, you might use your social media channels to reach and your YouTube channel again to reach to your subscribers, and you might use your web page to convert them, and then to convert them into a webinar, or maybe to convert them finally to buy stuff to do commerce with you. So you got to look at the high level goals that each channel is responsible to achieve. At the same time, you might want to look at the 5S of digital objectives and goal setting, your sell objective, your serve objective, your sizzle objective. So all that concepts, as you know, are part and parcel of your digital strategy, in other words, digital marketing excellence book. And you know it's available for you on the e-portal. So there you go. Now, what you then need to do is to see what are the criteria that you need to use to select. 1 minute. Identify your channel goals and recommend the key channel selection. Yeah, so you identify your channel goals, and now you look at the criteria required to select the right channels and the right channel goals to achieve your organization's objectives. So you got to read this carefully. Identify your channel goals and recommend the key channel selection criteria to help you identify the objectives, which is your theme related objective. So when you're selecting channels, what criteria are you going to consider? Example, your product. is going to be a big factor when you decide what channel to use. A simple food and beverage offering in a restaurant could rely on Instagram to drive their business. But if you are into a high-tech product, electronics, you will rely on channels like YouTube for some of the content that you want to give, which requires detail. So your product, nature of your product could be a criteria. The degree of interaction you need could be a criteria. So likewise, you've got to list down some of the criteria, and then of course that criteria should come from the relevant theories that you will find in your textbooks. And then you need to link how that helps achieve the overall organization's objectives. Now this is business objectives and marketing objectives is what you got to look at. So once again, I'm going to read it. Identify your channel goals and recommend, that's done, and recommend the key channel selection criteria. That is the second part. And by selecting those, using those criteria to select X channel versus Y channel, how would that help you to achieve your market penetration, your market development? So that's the connection you have to bring by breaking this report into specific subheadings. Of course, we'll help you further on this when we do the smart pack for this task. So that's your 1B. 1C, create a persona, not a segment. So you build your segment and convert that segment into a persona. And to do this, you will definitely need data and insight. So look for the available data in your company that you could use. Your segment data should be straightforward: age, gender, geographics, demographics, etc. B2B, size of the company, how they buy, the benefits they look for, quality versus after sales service. So based on your B2B or B2C, you got to do the segmentation, and then you got to build the personas. Now the B2B persona building also requires you to look at the buyer who buys on behalf of the company. Now whatever you don't have in the form of data, you got to look at secondary sources. So example, if you're doing a persona for the travel industry, you might look at some of the published information on IATA. I believe they have those data, AC Nielsen, Gartner, on that persona's travel habits and how do they get about making that decision. What are their fears when they travel? And you know, these days health risk is a bigger risk than a terrorism risk or a natural disaster risk. So what are those fears? What are those aspirations? You got to read some of the research reports, and that sets up the persona for you. So build a real persona. Use the formats that we've discussed in the masterclass. There onwards, the persona should consider current and changing consumer behavior. So you got to look at how the consumer behaviors change. For example, in the travel business, where people are booking hotels, deciding on destinations and excursions, a big consumer change that has happened over the last decade is the reliance on reviews. In other words, we call it zero moment of truth, ZMOT. So likewise, look at what consumer behavior is relevant to this persona, and that's going to make it a very strong, insightful customer persona for you to do the rest of your digital marketing activities. So that's your task B and your task C for you to keep moving forward, and a good effort here would beautifully set you up for the next task. One more thing on task B which I missed: as you keep reading about digital channels, you would want to look at the two concepts of omni-channel and multi-channel, which is going to be relevant in your overall selection of the criteria for channel selection. So keep a note on those two concepts as well. So there you go. This is a start to get you going.